ties and all looking really sharp.
Please help me welcome to the stage the founder of the Global Information Network, Kevin Trudeau.
I'd like to welcome all our special invited guests here. We're at the beautiful Mortar Farm in Arkansas, the United States of America, home of Dr. Ted and Jana Mortar. And right up the street, right over that little mound, is Dr. Tom and Anna Mortar. It's a beautiful place that we're at. I'd like to welcome all the gin members from all around the world in many languages listening to this seminar. We put on 4 seminars a year. They're all free to associate members and full members. If this is your first one, you may know that all of our seminars are held in different venues. Some are pretty fancy. Some of you have been to some of the fancy schmancy hotels that we've been in. We're suits and ties and all looking really sharp. And sometimes we're in casual locations, maybe in a beach resort or here at the Mortar Farm. So today is a kind of a casual day. If you're watching, feel free to take some notes. This is being recorded and it will be sent to all gin members and associates around the world a little later on. So you have this available. It will also be available in the subject-specific area of the website very soon. So you have access to it always going forward. Today we're going to be talking about how to eliminate any type of negative emotion you have. From time to time in our life, something happens, or maybe nothing happens, and for no reason at all, we just don't feel so good. A range of negative emotions can come up on a regular basis, and they do. This is normal living. You may have anger, frustration, maybe a feeling of sadness or depression from time to time, guilt, jealousy, all types of emotions, embarrassment, maybe shame, maybe feelings that you're not good enough, and you just feel bad about yourself. Maybe there's a day or a time you're just not motivated to do anything, and you just feel down. You feel very critical about everything. You don't like anybody and anything. You're in one of these moods. And we all go through this. Everyone's smiling here like, yeah, you must be reading my mind. This is things we all go through. We all deal with emotions. Negative emotions is what we call them. But actually, they're just energy. There is no real negative emotion or positive emotion. There's just energy. And some people say, well, Kevin, that's not necessarily true. I like feeling happy. I like feeling at peace and secure. I like feeling joyful and blissful. I like pleasure. Those are good positive emotions. And I don't like feeling frightened. I don't like having fear and anxiety and stress. I don't like feeling that. Oh, I don't like feeling sad. I don't like crying. Oh, really? There once was a time when you were a kid and you said, Mom, Dad, take me to the haunted house. I want to get scared. And you were so excited to be frightened to death. You wanted to be frightened. Ah! Oh, that was the best. I was so scared. I almost crapped my pants. I mean, my heart almost came out of my chest. I was so scared. I loved it. So at a certain point in our life, we actually liked negative emotions. We got on the roller coaster so we could scream and feel like we were about to die and be frightened. And we said, that was the best, let's do it again. And then there's movies. We pay money for movies. I remember The English Patient, and people used to come out and one person would be talking to the other. That was so sad. Oh no, I loved it. It was great. I just loved the movie. It made me feel so bad. It was great. I'm like, wait a minute. You're crying hysterically. You feel terrible, and you're saying how much you loved the movie because it made you feel sad. We like emotions, actually, and we always have throughout our life. We want to feel emotions. That's why we're here on this planet. But at a certain time, we start differentiating good emotions and bad emotions. And I don't want these, and I only want these. It's like I only want something sweet. I only want candy. I'll try that for a while and see how it works out. You can't have only one emotion. You can't have only one area of food or taste. You have to have a plethora. It's very important that we have this contrast. This is why we're here. So we can experience contrast, and emotions are one of them. But at the end of the day, we do have certain kinds of emotions which we'll call uncontrollable and irrational emotions. This is an emotion that we can't control. We can control the crying when we go to a movie like The English Patient. We can control the fear when we go into the haunted house. We can control that because we can feel scary for a while and then it's gone. Because we can control that fear. But what happens when we have an emotion that comes up and it's uncontrollable and we're just overwhelmed with grief or sadness or fear or jealousy or stress and anxiety, and we can't shake it, or depression or sadness? And it's basically controlling us. And in many times that emotion is also irrational. Something may happen that's very minor and you just go off the handle. You're driving in your car, somebody cuts you off. It's not the end of the world, but we go berserk. Something just snaps. And thank God that person wasn't actually in range, because we could strangle them. I mean, it's like out of control. It's just like this, you've heard that? I just snapped. You've heard that phrase. And it's true, something actually snapped. Something actually keyed in. So you have this outrageous, overwhelming, uncontrollable emotion that really is irrational. It doesn't really compute. It doesn't really match the event. You spill a glass of milk and you can get irritated. Oh. But you don't start crying hysterically. Does that make sense? That's an irrational emotion. Something is, quote, activating or keying in. So if there was a way where you could actually have a technique in your back pocket that throughout your life, when you had an emotion that you wanted to at least reduce or eliminate because it's irrational and it's a little bit uncontrollable, that would give you more power in your life. It would empower you. It would put you more in control of your life. And if you want to be successful in life, manifesting goals, dreams, and desires, in any form, whether it's a better relationship or money or health, being able to control your mind is always the #1 most critical point. When I went through my training, started in 1974 in the Brotherhood, we were trained on various groups of techniques which helped us to control our mind, train our mind. It's all about controlling your mind. And if you look at any spiritual master, whether it was Swami Muktananda or Guru Yogananda from the Self-Realization Fellowship, or any of the Indian spiritual masters, or even the Kung Fu martial artists from China, or Japan, the Aikido masters that Steven Seagal, when I was at his home, he was talking about when he went to Japan. We were having dinner and Steven was telling me about the training that he had. And I was never trained by an Aikido master, but it's exactly the same training we got with the Kung Fu masters and also my mentors in the Brotherhood. It's all the same training, the series of things that we do so that we can train and control our mind. Just like training a dog. If the dog is trained, it's not out of control. And if your mind is trained, it doesn't control you. It's not out of control, which means your emotions are now under your control. And it doesn't mean you become an automaton and don't feel anything. It just means you have control over those emotions. You see, somebody who's spiritually enlightened or really aware or fully conscious, they actually feel probably more than you do. They feel because they don't resist any of the feelings. They have a full range of emotions. They experience a full range of emotions. They experience everything. By the way, we just had a little power thing, so I just want to make sure before I continue to talk, we're actually recording this and broadcasting this.
You're on a temporary hold.
We had a little power surge here at the Mortar Farm, and too much power here, I guess, in the room. Too much energy. But we're back. So as I was saying before our break, we all wanted and feel emotions, and somebody who's spiritually aware does feel all emotions. The difference is they don't hold on to those emotions. They don't trap those emotions in their field. They allow the emotions to come up. They feel the emotion fully, even if it's a, quote, negative emotion, and the person is angry or crying. but then the emotion flows through them.
We want all range of emotions.
Yeah.
Self-resilience. It's beautiful.
Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. We're just testing to make sure we are live. Testing to make sure we are live. We're testing, or are we live or no?
He's unsure.
Yes, your video is live, the microphone is sitting there.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Now we're testing the audio. Do we have the audio live? Hey, we're back. Okay, good. We had a little power surge. You didn't hear everything I just said, which was really good. But the people here have it. You guys at home don't. Now we're back. We had a little power surge here at the Mortar Farm. Everything's under control, and now we're back online. We adapt and improvise. As I was mentioning, throughout our life, we did want to feel emotions. We want to feel all emotions, but we start resisting certain emotions. And remember that key word, resisting. Somebody who's enlightened or somebody who's spiritually evolved, they feel all emotions. They don't resist any emotion. What you would classify as mad, they allow themselves to fully feel it because that's what being human is. And they're really fully experiencing this human experience. So somebody who's enlightened or somebody who actually is anchored in the state of oneness and joy and bliss that's coming from the heart, if they're actually anchored in joy, they can still experience pain, a painful emotion, anger or upset for a few moments or maybe a few hours or maybe a few days, but they don't suffer. You can have pain, but you don't have to suffer. Pain in life is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Think about this. Well, what is suffering? Suffering is when we don't allow ourselves to feel that pain. We resist feeling that pain. That's what suffering is. And we hold on to it for days and weeks and months and years. I was auditing a class online for a friend of mine who was teaching people how to deal with traumas in their life. They wanted me to audit the program and then give them some counsel and advice on how to improve the program that they were doing. And there was about 8 people on this particular Zoom virtual event. One of the particular women was asked about the relationship between her and her mother. And she goes, well, my mother passed away. And she started to describe the relationship with her and her mother and said, my mother was my best friend. I loved being with her all day long. I told her everything. She told me everything. I trusted her. I loved her. She loved me. She treated me unbelievable. We were best friends, but I also respected her as a mom. After I left the house, I would still call her every single day. I would talk to her many times a day. She then lived next to me when I got my own place. We saw each other every single day. We loved each other. And then she started crying. She goes, and it's just so sad that she's gone, and I don't know how I'm going to live without her in my life because she was such an important part of my life. And you could just feel with empathy and compassion how much pain this particular woman was going through with the loss of her mother. And I know what she was feeling as I was watching, because my mother and my grandmother, my mother and her mother, were the same. And I remembered what happened, because they were together every single day. In the house. We were at my grandmother's house, my grandmother's at my house. So I know what this woman was going through from personal experience. And I know the trauma that my mother went through when my grandmother passed away. And then the facilitator said, when did your mother pass away? And I'm thinking, maybe 2 months ago or something. She said, next month it'll be 9 years. 9 years this woman is holding on to this grief. That's going to manifest in cancer, heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, something. It's going to manifest in all types of terrible things because the energy is so there. That's suffering. My mother, on the other hand, who lived into almost 90 years old with no illness and disease, was distraught and wailed. She was Italian, so she wore black, and she wailed every day for a full 7 days and grieved. And then after 7 days, she took the black off and she was back. That's the difference. You don't hold on to grief. You don't hold on. Holding on and resisting are the two key elements for suffering. Resisting what is, resisting what you have no control over, wanting it to be something different. You're resisting what is, wanting it to be something different, and then holding on to those negative feelings. Those are the two things that create suffering. And we know this, it's not new. I didn't invent any of this. I was trained in this back as early as starting in 1974. The Buddha, some people are familiar with him, he said that all suffering comes from desire, from having a desire. Now that's challenging because we think, wait a minute, if I want stuff in my life, I have to have a desire. I have to desire a new car, desire better health, desire a better relationship. I have to want something. I have to know what I want. I have to have desire. How can you say that suffering comes from desire? If I get rid of desire, what's going to happen? And by the way, that was pretty fast, and the translators are probably having a hard time doing that. We appreciate you. If you look at the original translation from the Buddha, the word desire can be translated multiple ways. It's most commonly translated into the English word desire. But you could translate it into something more accurate. Because many of the old words, especially in Sanskrit or Hindu, or Hindi, or even Hebrew, one word actually meant something this long, right? It's not word for word translation. So what this could be translated and should be translated more accurately is all suffering comes from wanting something to be different than what it is. That's where suffering comes from. That's desire. But how can we have a desire for a brand new car and not suffer? If you listen to the Success Mastery course, associate level, level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you read the lessons in the Science of Personal Mastery course, if you read the Guru Kev lessons, if you read the Nuggets of Gold, it's all part of the core training for the Global Information Network members, we learn that we have to know what we want. We have to have a desire. But then we also learn immediately we have to feel now as if we were already in attainment or possession of that which we desire. This eliminates desire. It eliminates desire. I no longer desire the new car. I have no car. I desire and need and want the new one. But now I'm feeling now as if I were already in attainment or possession of that new car. I no longer have a feeling of wanting. I no longer putting out needing. I am no longer resisting what is. I'm feeling now as if I was in possession of the new car. Desire has gone away. The attachment and need of a particular outcome is gone. I've now put myself into a state of allowing. And I'm feeling now as if I already had what I wanted. Desire then is gone. Suffering then goes away. But this sounds all philosophical. But Kevin, when I leave here and get a fender bender, I don't know, I'm not going to have any control over it. I'm going to get angry. And I have something going on. What can I do? And that's what we're here to learn, a specific technique. But first, let me give you just a little more to the why you're feeling these negative feelings. We feel bad when we resist what is. We want it to be different than it is. That's when we start feeling bad. We want it something to be this way, but it's this way, and we're resisting that it's this way, and therefore we start feeling bad. That resistance. That is always the reason for suffering. And that's thousands of years of sage advice from the Buddha, and other scriptural or spiritual texts have said the same thing. So always think, am I resisting what is? Doesn't mean we don't want to change it. There's a difference. But are you resisting what is? There's a difference. Okay, if there's something in your life that you don't like, I don't like this. I want it to be different. That's great. Now you're focusing on what you want. But the key to suffering is to stop resisting what is. Now we stop suffering. Okay? But that doesn't happen very often. And throughout our life, we consistently resist and have resisted what is. And some terrible things. We are driving in our car, we get home, and we find a terrible news that one of our family members died in a car crash. Somebody that we love very much. Shocking. How can you not resist what is? You don't want that to have occurred. You don't like that occurred, and you feel horrible because you wished it didn't happen. You wanted your loved one to still be with you. So it's reasonable that we're resisting what is at that moment. If you're in a relationship and you come home and your spouse is having an affair with somebody else, that can be a shocking thing. If you're walking your dog and it gets hit by a car right in front of you, it can be horrifying. I mean, clearly, we resist what is from time to time. And we have these jolts or bursts of instantaneous negative energy. And we are dealing with massive emotional trauma at the time and pain. And when this occurs, that energy pattern, which is called in the East, in India, a samskara, or samskara, which means energetic imprint. And in the West, it can be called an engram or an energetic imprint. And there's a bunch of different, there's about 15 different words used depending on who's describing it. But it's an energetic imprint that stays into our memory bank. So it's there. And it's broadcasting that energy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But most of the time, it's out here into our field, and it's not very active. So maybe it's grief, or sadness, or jealousy, or anger, or depression, or sadness. So we have all these imprints of these emotions in our field. But today, we're not feeling any of them. We're sitting here right now. You're watching around the world, and you're not feeling anything, but those imprints are still here. But all of a sudden, something happens in our life, and it triggers one of these imprints to become active. Somebody pushes our button. You ever hear that phrase? Oh, he's pushing my buttons. What does this mean? If you have a lot of buttons, I can push one of them, and I just activate one of these energetic imprints. I can push a button and make you feel angry. And there are certain people that you know, all you have to do is do this and he's going to get pissed off, man. Just watch, it's really fun. Hey, those Celtics are really crap. They're no good. What do you mean the Celtics are, you just say one thing, you know that this is going to trigger some imprint of energy. You can push somebody's button. So it's called triggering or activating or keying in or pushing somebody's button. And then this energy becomes active. And when the energy becomes active, it now is an uncontrollable emotion. We can't control ourselves. And many times it's irrational to some degree. The energy actually comes out from the field and starts to get closer into our body. Now, how do we know this, by the way? There are actual machines that can test the weight of a person, the mass that's in the physical body. If it's outside, it doesn't pick up the mass. But if it comes in, the body actually gets heavier. Mass came into the body. So it can come into the body. When it comes into the body, this contracted energy, this thick, heavy energy, goes into our body and blocks the flow of chi or prana or life force that goes through our body. Now, the ancient Chinese 5,000 years ago came up with these meridians. You may have heard that term, which are channels that go through the body where energy, chi energy, or in different cultures, prana or shakti or kundalini, there's different words that are used, life force, flows. And by the way, somebody says, yeah, that's not really proven to be true. Yeah, it is now. For a long time, it wasn't proven to be true by science. Well, science using radioactive isotopes have now put it in on an acupuncture point which the Chinese say this will go right here through the heart this way. And they put a radioactive isotope, and the scientists monitor, and son of a gun, it goes right down like the Chinese wrote up 5,000 years ago. So scientists now go, how did these people 5,000 years ago know that these channels existed? And we as scientists who knew everything about blood vessels and atoms and genes, we didn't know they existed. So they actually do exist. And energy, we'll call it chi or prana or life force, flows through it. So when activated energy comes into our body, we actually get heavier. This way, some people say, I feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders because activated energy has come in. And it blocks the meridians in our body. When the energy stops flowing or is hindered going through the meridians, we just feel bad. Various types of energy. But it's always a bad energy. It's something we don't like. We feel off. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So this is why we feel bad throughout the day. We're going around, everything is fine, but we all have these imprints in our field. These imprints have to be transmuted. We use the word clear. And clear is a fine word to use, but more accurately, the energy is transmuting. We say the energy left you, or I pulled that energy out, or that energy released, or that energy cleared, or the charge around the energy, which is the electrical charge, blew, it's gone. It got pulverized. But really, it's transmuting, because the energy shifts from one element to another. And I'll give you an example. If you have ice is water. Well, anger is just energy. Love is energy too. They're the same. They're just different contractions of love or energy. Love, anger, hate, it's all the same energy. Water is the same as ice. It's just ice is contracted, water isn't. Steam is the same as ice. It's still water, it's H2O. It's just in two different forms. Make sense? So energy is the same. So if we transform ice into steam, did we clear the ice? No, the ice just transmuted. It just became steam. So when we take negative energy and transmute it into light, bright energy, it doesn't go away, it actually just transmutes and expands. Now let me give you an example of this. I want you to imagine that I have a bottle of black ink, and it's very dark black ink. And I take a couple drops of this black ink, and I walk into a big, huge swimming pool, and I put 1-2 drops into the swimming pool. What happens? The ink just goes, poof, it just dissipates. The swimming pool is so much water, even though that black ink is so dense and dark, when you drop 1 drop or 2 drops in the swimming pool, it just basically dilutes it so much, the ink vanishes, it's gone. It's just gone. If you take a gallon of black ink and get into a boat and go out into the ocean and pour it into the ocean, within a second, actually within probably a nanosecond, it just goes. The ocean absorbs it, and that black ink just becomes the ocean and it's gone. This is how enlightened people live. They know that they are an ocean of love and light. And any negative energy that they allow to come up goes into that ocean of love and light and instantly transmutes. So watch how an enlightened person lives. And then when I go through this process, this understanding, then I'm going to give you the step-by-step procedure. So put your attention on your heart chakra. It's basically just a place here in the middle of the chest, and it's one area that we kind of know love resides. We go, oh, that warms my heart. I mean, we know this. We know that its heart is where the love and the good feeling and bliss and joy reside. So just put your attention on your heart chakra and just imagine that it opens up like a flower. And in the middle, I just want you to imagine you see a round ball of light, like a mini sun. And it's moving and it's glowing and it's so bright. It's actually brighter than the sun. It's as bright as 1,000,000 suns. And it's pure unconditional love. It's bright, and it's limitless, and it's endless. And I just want you to imagine that this love, this unconditional love and benevolent feeling of joy and bliss and purity, white light and love, just expands in all directions, 360 degrees, and it goes out 1 foot, 1 meter, 5 meters, 5 feet, 10 meters, 10 feet, in all directions. And as far as it goes out, it's as bright as it is right in the center. And it's an ocean of love and light. And it's who you are. And it's pure and it's unconditional. It's just pure love and light. Open up your eyes. This is how an enlightened person actually lives. We say that they're conscious. We say that they're aware. We say they have a high level of consciousness or awareness. They're self-realized. That means they've realized the self, themselves. What does that mean? It means that they understand and know by experience who they really are. They're fully conscious of the fact that they are an ocean, an unlimited, limitless, eternal ocean of love and light. That's what they know, because we live in that as a total experience, 24/7. We're anchored in that. And then any emotion that comes up, hate, anger, we just allow it to come up fully and enter that love and light. And we just virtually allow it, without doing anything, to dissipate. And it transmutes. And when it transmutes, it becomes the love and light that we are, and then we actually get bigger because it became that love and light. And we expand, and we feel even fuller. And this is the beauty of living. We can feel every emotion without resisting it, by actually embracing it. And there we go through life, feeling everything, fearing nothing, resisting nothing, living a full, amazing life, and being able to look around and say, I love life. All of it. Not just this part, but all of it. And this is why we say bliss and joy can come within you. And when you're in this state, don't you think, for those of you who are watching who just say, I just want to make money. I just want to have a good relationship, I just want better health. I want my body to look great and be healthy. If you're in this state, don't you think you can do anything better? I remember Zig Ziglar always said the statement as a positive motivational speaker. Somebody came up to him one time, because we were traveling together doing seminars back in the 80s. And they said, Mr. Ziglar, you're a motivational speaker. You believe in positive thinking, having a positive mental attitude. I bet you think that you believe a person can do anything if they just have a positive mental attitude. And Zig Ziglar said, actually, no, a person can't do anything with a positive mental attitude. But they can do everything better than if they have a negative mental attitude. That make sense?
Yes.
So when you're in this state of bliss and joy, you can do everything in your life better. That make sense? Okay, so let me give you the procedure now. Here's the procedure. So you're going through life, and all of a sudden we notice at some point that we're not feeling like we want. We're feeling sad. We're feeling depressed. We're feeling jealous or anger. We don't know what we're feeling. We just know we're not feeling good. I know I'm not happy. I don't know what it is. I'm missing something. I feel lonely. I feel alone. I feel like I'm worthless and helpless. There's all these feelings. I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like nobody likes me. How about this one? I feel like I'm not being heard. I feel like I'm irrelevant. I feel like I'm useless. I feel like everything I do is wrong. Any feeling that's not bliss and joy or what you want. What do you do? Okay, there's a few steps. These steps can become a habit. If we do things over and over and over consciously, they become a habit. Successful people are simply people that live by successful habits. Unsuccessful people have failure habits. Winners have winning habits. They just do things by habit. I remember I moved from one place. I was staying at, with Senior Officer Josh Novy, a member. I was staying at his place in Arlington Heights. And then I moved, and I'm staying with the managing director, David Kruger. And when I moved, I was downtown, and I was driving home. Well, I had moved from Josh's place to the new place. They're about 30 minutes away in the Chicagoland area. So when I left Chicago, I'm driving home, and I'm thinking of this and thinking of that, and I drove home, and I get out of the car, and I'm looking, I'm going, I'm at Josh's place. I don't live here anymore. And I started laughing to myself. I goes, I was completely unaware. I was living in a state of unawareness for the last half hour, just operating out of habit, and I had a good chuckle with myself. I didn't beat myself up. I laughed at myself and got in the car and then drove home. Interestingly enough, on the way home, if I had drove home, there was a big car crash that I had avoided by going in this different route. So you never know why things happen in life, but the point is we live by habits. So I'm going to tell you something right now that you're going to have to actually do and develop a habit of doing. Then it happens automatically. Okay? So here's the first step. Number one. Number one is when you're feeling some type of negative emotion. Step one is you must acknowledge that you are feeling this negative emotion. What most people do is they deny it. Now, we get into the habit of denying negative emotions because we've been trained in positive thinking. But there's a fine line here, so I have to explain this because this is a big area of distinction that'll help you. You never deny what is. You never resist what is. You have to acknowledge. I tore my meniscus in my knee. Somebody says, Kevin, how you doing? I don't say, I'm doing great. I go, I'm really bummed out. I tore the meniscus in my knee. I was going to go hiking in California. Now I can't. I'm really frustrated about that. I'm feeling really frustrated about that. You have to acknowledge what is. Now, there's a second step to this. You don't stay there. But you first must acknowledge. Now, when you acknowledge what is, the feeling, it's critical that you give it a label. I'm feeling frustrated, annoyed. So you have to give it a label. So you must acknowledge and not deny what you're feeling. To yourself, mostly. Doesn't mean you go around bragging to everybody how you're feeling. But you're not denying to yourself what you're feeling. You give it a label, and then you must say, I am feeling angry, not I am angry. See the difference? You're not angry. Angry is an energy. Anger is not you. It's just a part of you. It's just an energy that you are carrying. It's not who you are. I just told you who you are. You're love and light. You're not angry. You're not anger. You're not depressed. You are feeling depressed. You're feeling angry. You're feeling jealous. You're feeling inadequate. You're feeling like a loser, but you're not a loser. I'm a loser. No, you're not. You're feeling like a loser. There's a big difference. Does that make sense? So acknowledge, give it a name, and don't say I am, but say I am feeling. The other side of that is don't deny the reality of how you're feeling. You must acknowledge it. Most people make this mistake right off the giddy up. And if you're denying what is, it's always going to be there. You can't fix a situation or correct it or transmute energy until you look at it and confront it right on, head on, and know what it is. You look at anybody who goes into the world of turnaround in business. They go in, and I was a friend with Al Dunlap. Al Dunlap was known as Chainsaw Al. He'd go into a company and basically assess the situation. He was a turnaround expert. And he was known as the chainsaw man because he'd go in there and have to slash overhead, slash expenses, and many times slash salaries or staff. But he turned around every company and got them profitable, building and growing, and then increasing production, increasing salaries, increasing shareholder value, and turning it all around. But the first thing he always did, and everybody who does this, they assess the situation and get an accurate assessment of what is going on right now. What is the situation? I need to know exactly what's going on no matter how bad it appears. Otherwise, I can't figure out what to do. That makes sense? So with an emotion, we can't deny. We have to be able to look at it straight on. Interestingly enough, by just doing this, magic can occur. And I'll explain why in a few moments. Of how that your energy, when you put the light on and you actually take out any confusion or any unknowingness, energy automatically transmutes just by observation. Okay, so number one, acknowledge, don't deny, give it a name and say, I am feeling, not I am. Number two, you must welcome the feeling. Which means if you're feeling sad, feel really sad. You've seen this. We know this instinctively. We have a person, they just got divorce papers, they got blindsided, they come over the house and they're crying. And we grab them and hold them and we say, let it out, let it out. And the person starts crying even more and more and more, right? We go, yeah, that's right, let it out, get it out, let it out, let it out. We say that to them. We know this instinctively at our soul level. And then the person stops and they say, I needed that. They say, I had a really good cry. You ever hear that phrase? I had a really good cry. Because they let emotion out. You have to let it out. So number two is welcome the negative feeling. Feel it fully. Embrace it. The opposite is don't resist it. What you resist will persist. You want to get that weed out. You have to pull it all the way up from the root. You have to get the root. You just can't snip off the top. If you just snip off the top of the weed, what's going to happen? It's just going to grow back again. You got to pull it and get the whole root out, right? If there's a monster there's a dragon in a cave, we need to bring that dragon out of the cave so we can slay the dragon. If he just sticks his tail out and we chop off his tail, it doesn't kill the dragon. If he sticks his nose out and we chop off his nose, it doesn't kill the dragon. We got to get the dragon all the way out in order to get rid of and slay the dragon. The emotion is the same. We have to allow it to fully key in, to fully activate, to fully come to surface. So welcome it. Now, secondly, just by welcoming it without resistance, the energy automatically begins to transmute because we're no longer resisting it. What you resist persists. But energy flows naturally. And if we allow it, and we allow it to be fully felt without fear and without resistance, it simply comes to surface. And if we happen to have full conscious awareness of who we really are, which is love and light, and we welcome that energy to come to surface, we can virtually consciously know that it's entering into our field of love and light, and thus transmuting without doing anything. Somebody says, well, how come that didn't happen before? If I'm always love and light, if I am love and light, if I've always been love and light, and this stuff is there, how come it just doesn't transmute naturally? Scientists now know an interesting phenomenon. If you have an atom, in the middle of that atom is a nucleus, and in that nucleus you have protons and neutrons. And then floating around the atom is an electron. And it could be 1, 2, 3, depending on the element. Scientists now know that that electron actually doesn't even exist. It's not a particle. It's a wave of energy, of potential. And the scientists now know that only when it's observed does it contract into a particle. Only by observation does something become real. The field of love and light that you are, which is right now, and I can see it for everyone, here and all the people watching at home, I can go there and I can see who you are. I know who you are, but you don't know fully who you are yet. It exists for me, but that means the field of love and light doesn't really exist for you until you are consciously aware of it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when you are consciously aware of it, this is why someone who is fully conscious is enlightened. That's when it becomes real. So if we think we're a loser and no good, then we have nothing. Nothing's active. The electricity is in this barn sometimes. The electricity. That's over there. The electricity is in this barn, but unless we actually turn the light switch on, we don't get to use the power that's there. We get into a car and we sit there and go, it ain't going anywhere. Well, you got to take the key, if they still have them these days, and put them in and turn it, and the power then goes. Now we can utilize what's there. We're love and light. It comes from consciousness and awareness before we can start utilizing that. So step 2 is to welcome without resistance that negative feeling and feel it fully. If we're feeling any type of negative emotion, don't resist it, welcome it. This energy is not you, it's just a part of you. It's being activated. The universe doesn't do things to us, it does things for us. It's providing for you situations and events and certain conditions and people so that you get triggered. You're put in situations with coworkers, with customers, with different people, just to trigger you. That's what the universe is doing. And why is the universe doing that? Because if it can trigger the energy can get activated. If the energy is activated and comes to surface, it can then get transmuted, and then you begin your journey. You can only go when you transmute energy. You become more powerful, more blissful, more spiritually awakened, happier. That's the journey that you're asking for, which is why the universe is giving you what you're asking for. But you have to do that little extra work by transmuting that energy and allow it to flow through you and transmute so that you can go through the next level. Welcome the energy. The way through is the way out. People don't want to welcome that energy because they don't want to feel bad, so they push it down. They put it in the basement and then put concrete all over it. It's still there. Oh, it may be bottled up for a while, but it's broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and pulling into your life and attracting into your life things that you don't want. You got to transmute it. Otherwise, you have all these counter-intention frequencies in your field going against and holding you back from what you really want. So, number 1, acknowledge and don't deny. Give it a name and say, I feel. Number 2, welcome the energy and don't resist it, and allow yourself to feel it fully. Embrace it. Actually step back and enjoy yourself feeling miserable. Think about that. Just like when you buy that ticket to that scary movie, you're enjoying feeling scared. When you buy a ticket to that tearjerker, you're enjoying crying and feeling sad. We enjoy negative emotions, so embrace these negative emotions and allow them without resistance. And this is tough, but without resistance, just allow them and be conscious of who you are so that it goes into that field of love and light. Number 3, allow. Don't try. Don't do anything, but allow the energy to transmute. You could say clear, you could say release, you could say let go, you could say blow, the charge blows. There's a bunch of different words, but allow the energy to flow, and just allow it to transmute. It's the state of allowing. The second part of the state of allowing is not being attached to the outcome of the energy transmuting. Which means, don't say, I really want this to go. I really want it to transmute. I don't like feeling this way. I really want it to transmute. You're resisting feeling what you're feeling. Does that make sense? You're resisting. I feel like crap, and I don't care if I always feel like crap. Maybe that's just my thing. I'm just going to feel like crap every day, and that's okay. That's what that's my fate in life. I'm just going to feel terrible all the time. That's okay. I'm not resisting. If I'm feeling like crap, that's okay. You know, I don't care if it's okay for me to feel like, why am I feeling like crap? Hold on, let me feel like crap again. You understand? Allow yourself to feel, and don't have any particular attachment to an outcome, which means you're not attached to releasing or transmuting that energy. Don't want the energy to go, because then you're violating step 2. Step 2 is welcome it, embrace it. Well, if you're welcoming it and embracing it, why do you now want it to go away so much? Welcome it and embrace it. Don't be attached to the outcome. Just allow, without trying. The whole point is here is don't try anything. Just allow. Put yourself in a state of allowing to transmute, but who cares if it does or not? So this is the basic parameter that'll set you up so that you can apply a particular simple technique which works on helping you dissipate and transmute that energy. By the way, there are many, many techniques. If you have a best practitioner that you can go to, or if you've been trained in best, that's an effective technique. Mary Miller's I Ching cards are an effective technique of help moving energy. There's a whole bunch of external devices that you can use, from a SIMOT Tesla device to a cloud mat that you lay on, biocharger that you sit in front of and the lights go on and Tesla coils happen. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do. And some are more effective than others based on you. But I'm going to give you something that actually was developed by Dr. Roger Callahan. You know him. But I started using this before he developed it back in the 70s. It wasn't the exact technique, but it was the same, because we worked with acupuncture or acupressure meridians. As I mentioned earlier, when energy is keyed in, that's in the field, which means you're really feeling bad, that's when the energy comes into the body. And because it's contracted energy, it'll block some of the energy, prana or chi, or life force, or shakti going through, or kundalini, whatever word you want to use. They're all similar, not exactly the same. But when that energy is keyed in, it comes into the physical body and will start blocking energy throughout the chi meridians in your body. When the energy that flows naturally is blocked, we don't feel good, okay? That's one of the reasons. So this particular technique helps break up or move some of those blockages and helps it virtually enter the field of love and light so that it can transmute. That's how it works. Now, one thing that occurs is we think we want to transmute, we think we can transmute, we think the energy will transmute, we think it is transmuting, but many times that's our conscious mind and it is overridden by our subconscious mind, which has the exact opposite. And that's called a reversal. When something is actually reversed, the spin of the electrons are going in the opposite direction. So this particular method and technique solves that problem, and it's a simple thing once you learn the procedure. So let me walk through the exact procedure. Now, there are many ways to do this. If you actually, when I was working with Dr. Roger Callahan in California, I was at his home, he was real specific on working with a person, hearing their voice and into their field and getting somebody particular patterns. Over the years, based on what I knew from the 70s as well, there's a simple step-by-step method that doesn't have to be deviated from. This makes it easier to apply in real life, okay? And you want something that's easy, that can be applied in real life, as opposed to something that's difficult. And you're always wondering, am I doing it right? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you the way where it works almost all the time. But remember, before you start this, you do the first 3 steps. You acknowledge it, but not deny it. You welcome it, not resist it. And you put yourself in a state of allowing, which means you don't care if it goes away or not. This is critical. Step 3, you don't care if it goes away or not. If you're doing this thinking, I want this to go, I just really want this to go, you're not in that state of allowing. If you don't care, think about it this way. I went to sleep last night. I slept great. And when I went to sleep, I lied down on the bed, and I didn't say, all right, I really want to go to sleep fast, so let me try to go to sleep as fast as I can. Okay, I want to sleep, I want to sleep. Do you try to go to sleep? If you try really hard to go to sleep, what happens? You stay up, you're not sleeping. You have to allow yourself to fall asleep, and you never know when you fall asleep. You're just lying there, you're just in a state of allowing, and at some point you wake up the next morning. And you never knew, there was never that point. Never came to you. This is the state of allowing. So when you don't care, if you release this energy, that's when it will transmute. Okay. Now, Callahan discovered this, by the way. He was a clinical psychologist in Beverly Hills. He trained somebody named Gary Craig. Gary Craig went off and started something called the EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, which is about 10% of the work that Roger Callahan did. So that's one technique. Roger Callahan's is the premier, it's the creme de la creme. And then the methods that I learned back in the 70s. So these techniques really work, and they're based on 5,000-year-old techniques from the Chinese, from acupuncture and acupressure. Okay. Callahan had a patient who had a phobia of water. So much so that when Callahan would take this patient in for treatments, he had to shut the blinds or the drapes to his windows, which looked at his swimming pool. Because if she saw the swimming pool, she would go into a panic attack. So before she came in, he would always close the drapes. And he says, Kevin, I worked on her for 2 years. Once a week, she would come in for an hour for 2 years. And I got her to finally look at the swimming pool. That's how much progress I made, like next to nothing. I could now pull it, and she wasn't going into a complete panic attack. She was just hyperventilating slightly. And he goes, and that's what I was realizing, that this psychotherapy and psychiatry isn't really working. This is, and he goes, and I am the top paid person in Beverly Hills, working with all these celebrities, and I don't even know what I'm doing for them. He goes, because this stuff isn't working, all the stuff I've been trained in. Very distraught, Callahan went to China. And he was traveling around the world trying to say, what are other people doing around the world to help people with phobias and fears and traumas and negative emotions and, post-traumatic stress, which is the new thing today, and everything else. So while he was in China, he was learning about acupuncture and acupressure and the meridians and so forth. And he learned that certain points on the body go to a certain part of the body. Like under the eye goes to the stomach. This goes to the heart. This goes to the intestine, etc. So he learned that certain parts go to different parts of the body. Didn't think anything of it. Goes back to California. The patient comes in who's got the water problem. He's got the blinds open. She's looking at the water. And he says, stare at the water. Get up, walk over to the window, and look at the water. And she gets up, and she starts to shake, and she starts to hyperventilate. And she goes, doctor, I can't take it. And she's grabbing her stomach. And he says, where do you have this feeling? She goes, it's right in my stomach. And he said, I just remember this point goes to the stomach. And he goes, look at me. And he says, do this. And she just says, all right. And all of a sudden her face just completely relaxes. He says, stop. How's your stomach? And she said, she's looking at the pool. She's looking at her stomach, looking at the pool. This is Roger just telling me a story. She keeps going back and forth, and she goes, it's gone. And he says, what's gone? She goes, it's gone. And Kevin, she ran over, she opens up the windows, the big, the sliding doors, and she starts walking out to the pool. And I say, stop, you can't swim. And she turns around and she says, I know I can't swim, but doctor, it's gone. She took off her shoes, rolled up her pants, sat down, put her feet in the water, and she's looking around like, it's a miracle, it's a miracle, it's a miracle. And he goes, Kevin, the first thing I thought is, I just lost a good patient. He said, so I tried this on other phobias, and that's when he started working and developing different patterns which break up the energy. So What happens, as I mentioned, when something keys in, it's going into the physical body. So remember the procedure. Anytime in the future, you start to develop this into a habit, the amount of time goes down dramatically, and the amount of releases or transmuting of energy builds up. This is going to be like peeling the layer of an onion. So somebody says, well, if I do this, will the energy come back? In that particular case, for phobias, it almost never comes back because it's only one piece of the onion. So when she got rid of that phobia for water, and I was with Roger when he was on CNN and Oprah Winfrey and all these other things, we'd get people who had phobias for snakes, heights. Our friend Archie, for example, on the plane, I got him rid of him for heights on the plane. His first time in his life, he drove everywhere, wouldn't fly in a plane. All of a sudden, after I did it, he goes, why didn't you do this to me 25 years ago? I didn't have to keep driving to meet you all across the United States. I would have flown with you as well. Like, you never told me you were afraid of heights. So usually a phobia goes away forever. If there's an addictive urge, if you have an urge to smoke cigarettes or urge to eat when you're not hungry, any type of addictive urge. I had a person who was addicted to Doritos. It just could not stop eating Doritos. It was an addiction. It's like 1 bag, 2 bags, 3 bags. It's like, what's going on? Aren't you full? Yeah, I've been full before I even started, but I'm addicted to Doritos. And I go, you want to get rid of that? Yeah. I go, well, try this. And all of a sudden it's like, I'm sick now. I ate so many Doritos. And then it's like the next day, want some Doritos? No. I was in a spa in California, Green Valley. Actually, it was in St. George, Utah. Green Valley Spa. There was a very famous actress and singer from Broadway that was there. And she was a very heavy woman. She was going there to lose weight. And I was chatting with her, and I said, you know, she was talking about her food addictions. And I said, is there any particular food that you're addicted to? She goes, yes, butter pecan Haagen-Dazs ice cream. She goes, I am absolutely addicted to it. I don't know what it is about that ice cream. I can't stop eating it. It's like if there's any in the house, I eat it all. It's like I just never get full. And then that's all I think about, really. It's bizarre. And I said, so right now, do you want any butter pecan Haagen-Dazs ice cream? She goes, of course I want butter pecan Haagen-Dazs. I've been thinking about it all day. I said, would you want to get rid of this addiction? She goes, yeah, how do you do that? I go, well, I don't know. I'm testing something. Let me try it. If you want. She goes, yeah, I'll try it. So I hop in the car, drove down the hill. There's a 7-Eleven there. I was hoping they had ice cream. I was hoping they had Haagen-Dazs. And I was hoping they had butter pecan. Miracle of miracles, they have butter pecan Haagen-Dazs ice cream. So I grab a pint, go back, go into the kitchen, open it up, throw it into a bowl, walk out, she's sitting there. I put down the pint of Haagen-Dazs ice cream and the bowl and the spoon, and I go, take a look at this. She looks at it, and I'm telling you, her eyes get as big as saucers. She grabs the side of the table, and she starts rocking, and she starts to almost hyperventilate, and I go, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's the intensity of your desire for this ice cream? She doesn't say anything. She's just, can you give me a number? And she's like, I'm like, this is a little spooky now. I don't know if I got into something too deep. I don't know what's going to happen. I go, would you say it's a 10 or more? This is true. I mean, it was really, I've never seen anybody go into a state like that. So I gave her the technique. Virtually within 30 seconds, it went to 0. And she's looking at this, she goes, I don't want this. I go, no, pick up this ice cream. Imagine how delicious. Watch, I'm going to have some. And she goes, no, I don't want it. It's not appealing to me at all. What did you do to me? I says, well, the energy pattern is gone. The samskara, the engram, it's gone. It shouldn't come back. You go back to New York, let me know, here's my number. 6 months later, she called me up. She goes, Kevin, I just want you to know I've lost 57 pounds without even trying. It's amazing. I goes, yeah, what else? And I haven't had any butter pecan ice cream, any Haagen-Dazs butter pecan ice cream since I met you, and I had no desire. There's no willpower involved. I go, really? You're not thinking about it? She goes, Kevin, I bought butter pecan ice cream and put it in my freezer just so I could look at it every day to see if I had a desire. I have zero interest in it. It's sitting right there. I don't want it. I have no interest. It's like it's eating a can of dog food to me right now. It's like I have no interest at all. It's not like I'm using my willpower to say no. So addictions also work because they're all also work on the same energy pattern. So here's the technique. Remember, we do our first three things. We acknowledge, we don't deny, we welcome, we don't resist, let ourselves feel it, and then we put ourselves in a state of allowing by feeling it's okay if you never get rid of this horrible feeling. So don't want to get rid of the feeling. Just allow yourself and say, it's completely okay if I never get rid of this feeling. When you're in that state, now we start. First, on a scale of 1 to 10, ask yourself, what is the intensity of the negative emotion? On a scale of 1 to 10. You have to give yourself this range. You have to give yourself a number. Make sure you also give the emotion a name, because the emotion could change. That means you're hitting multiple layers. Okay? So give yourself a number. On a scale of 1 to 10, what's the intensity of the negative emotion that I'm feeling? 9. Okay. What is it? It's anger. Okay, great. Now say these words. By the way, we're recording this. We're going to send it to all members, associate members and full members. Plus it'll be on the subject area specific of the website. Then say these words out loud. I want to get over this. The reason you're saying this is, remember, if you're putting yourself in a state of allowing, you don't have any wanting of getting over it. So if you are in a state of wanting to get over it, nothing's going to change. Because when you are in a state of wanting, you're putting out to the universe, I want to get over this negative feeling. I want to. I have this desire and want of getting over this negative feeling. And the universe says, okay, I'll make sure you're always wanting to get over the negative feeling. Because the universe has to match your frequency. Does this make sense? Yeah. If you're saying, I want a new car, the universe is going to say, I'm going to make sure you're always wanting one, but never have one. Because the moment you have one, you stop wanting. So you have to get rid of the wanting energy. So this is why we start by saying, I want to get over this. It's not because we're trying to dial that in. We're trying to eliminate it. And it's usually in a state of wanting, because you really do want. So you have to reverse that and go back to, I don't care if I get rid of this. Instead of, I want to get over this, the energy that you should be emanating is, I don't care if I get over this. I feel very angry, but I don't care if I get over it. I don't mind being angry every day for the rest of my life. And I'm going to be the best angry person in the world. I don't care if I'm sad every day. I'm going to be the saddest person in the world. The most intensely sad. Because I don't care if I get over this. That's the energy that'll allow it to release. So you say, I want to get over this. Then you do this. Now, there are parts of your body that you're going to tap. You can give them a little code word. For example, this is called the side of hand. You can put SH, side of hand, or you can just write down side of hand. So let me show you the points, and I'll just show you the points so you can write these down later. Watch the video, you can write them all down. It's the same sequence every time until the end. So we say, I want to get over this. And then we do this, side of hand, and then the other side of hand. Then here under the nose, here on the chin. Then you take the middle finger. The left hand middle finger, it's the bottom, if you're looking at your hand, it's the bottom right corner of the nail, closest to the thumb, and you tap there. So normally I tap like that. Then this hand, it's the middle finger, it's the bottom left or part of the nail, if I'm looking at it, closest to the thumb, and so you tap here. Then 2 fingers outside edge of your eyebrows. Then the collarbone. So right on your collarbone, and you can do 3 fingers, 4 fingers, it doesn't matter. Okay? Those handle what's called reversals. Now we go into the sequence. And the sequence is between your eyebrows, outside edge of eye, under your eye, here, here, here. Then you're going from your nipple straight back onto your armpit. You can either cross over or you do one at a time, or do it both. Then you take your left hand, starting with your little finger, bottom right part of the nail, next finger, bottom right corner of the nail, middle finger, bottom right, next finger, and then the thumb, it's the inside, so it's the bottom left part of the nail. Then, on either hand, there's a V, little finger, right here, that spot right there. That's the point. You tap it, and you do this sequence. Close your eyes, open your eyes, look down to the right without moving your head, look down to the left, roll your eyes in a circle, roll them the other way, hum a little bit out loud, they gotta be different notes. Then count to 5 out loud, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hum again. Now continue to tap. You breathe in and out through your nose normally, but as you breathe in, your attention is 2 inches below your navel, and you're just expanding your stomach a little bit on the inhale. Then as you exhale, you bring your stomach in a little bit. Your attention is 2 inches below your navel. And you do that 3 times. Now, sequence again. Here, here, here. And this is the speed, by the way. You don't have to hit them that hard. You don't have to hit them that much. This is the speed. Left hand, boom, 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 boom. Then the last one is you take your hand like this, right on top of your head. Now you stop. Breathe 3 times in and out through your nose. Put your attention 2 inches below your navel. Then you ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, where is the intensity of the negative emotion now? One of 3 things will happen. Number 1, it'll be the same. Number 2, it'll be higher. Number 3, it'll be lower. In any of those cases, you go to this next step. If it's higher, the same, or lower, you go to the next step. If it's 0, then you're done. If it's 0, then you're done. Otherwise, you go to the next step. Next step is this. You say this out loud. You just said, I want to get over this. Now you say, I can get over this. I can get over this. What you're doing here is there's an energy of, this doesn't work. Or, yeah, it works, but I can't do it. You understand? And most of us are in this reversed. So there's a pattern that says, I can't. And that comes from, I'm not good enough, et cetera, et cetera. So we have to say, I can get over this. Okay, so you say that out loud, and then you do exactly the same thing. So just watch me, or you can pay a lot. I do here, 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 middle finger, here, here, and then here. And this is the speed. You can do it as fast as you want. And then here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then here. Breathe in and out 3 times. Then you say, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's the intensity of my negative emotion now? One of 3 things are going to happen. It's either going to be higher, the same, or lower. If any of those things happen, you do the next step, step 3. If it's 0, you're done. What's step 3? Step 3 is now you say, I will get over this.
I will get over this.
The reason this pattern activates, when you make that statement, you're always saying, if you notice, a positive statement. When you say a positive statement, as opposed to a yes or no, when you say a positive statement, that statement either resonates with your field or doesn't. Does that make sense? So you always make a positive statement. Now it activates into the field. So you say that to activate into the field any reversal that's needed, and then you do the exact same procedure. Side of hand, here, here, middle finger, outside edge of eye, collarbones, and you go through the sequence. Little finger, next finger, next finger, next finger, thumb, gamut spot is what it's called. Close your eyes, open your eyes, down to the right, down to the left, roll your eyes in a circle, roll them the other way, hum out, count to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hum again, breathe 3 times. And then sequence, here, 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 and then here. Oh, oops, sorry, sequence. And then here, and then you stop. Now you say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's the intensity of the negative emotion now? One of 3 things are gonna happen. It's gonna go up, it's gonna be the same, it's gonna go down. If any of those 3 things happen, you go to the next step. If it's 0, you're fine, you're done. If you have to go to the next step, you already said, I want to get over this, I can't get over this, I will get over this. Now you say that the 4th one is, I am getting over this.
I am getting over it.
Notice what this is activating. This is activating in your field. This is not happening right now. So you're bringing it into, if you need to, into present time. By the way, most of the time you don't need to even go this far. Because every time we go to a different level, you know, it's like 80% will happen on the first round. You know, another percentage will happen on the second round, another percentage on the next round. So every time we get lower, and it doesn't mean that it's a bigger problem. It just means this just happens to be more layers of frequency on this. So don't be discouraged if you're going through this and nothing's changing or the number's going up. Because if you're in that state of, I don't care if I release this or not, you'll never be discouraged. Just know that the procedure that you're doing is transmuting layers of energy. It absolutely is. Now, how do we know this, by the way? There's several machines that measure the mass of energy that's around. There's several machines that measure this. And when you have a person on the machine and I'm doing something and I'm saying, I'm going to blow some charge for you, and I blow the charge, and I say, do you feel anything? They go, I feel nothing. I go, fine. Look at this dial. This dial, I'm not touching anything. It's just going. I go, that's mass leaving your body. You are numb and are completely unaware and have no consciousness of your field right now. I'm not saying that in a negative way. I says, but mass is leaving the body. You may not feel lighter, or you may in the future, but you have to know that you are getting incredibly better. The value you're getting because of this energy, this contracted energy that's actually transmuting, is going to positively impact many aspects of your life. He goes, well, I'll see. I'm not sold. In this particular case, 6 months later, the guy reached out to me and he said, I did an assessment since our little session, and you showed me that little meter that was going nonstop for about 3 minutes and then finally stopped. That's how much, because I could see it. I go, this is like massive. I mean, if this was anybody else, the guy'd be like loopy. He'd be like, you know, but he's like so numb, had no clue of what was happening. This is like, I open up a spigot. It's just like, stuff is just like transmuting like insane. And I was helping, of course, but he just couldn't factor anything. Well, 6 months, he didn't tell me that he had sciatica when I first met him, that it was so painful. He didn't tell me that. Well, 6 months later, he told me that he had sciatica and he no longer had sciatica. He also didn't tell me that he was an insomniac. And then he told me 6 months later that he was sleeping like a rock. He couldn't believe that, and his partner was saying that he, you know, just like sleeps and doesn't even move. He's just like a rock. And it's like just a huge change. And there was a few other things too. He still says he can't feel anything, so he's still numb. But he's at least aware of what's happening. So when you do this, there's massive energy being shifted. Okay, so the next one you say is, I am getting over this. Then you do the exact same procedure. You tap here, you tap here, you tap here, here, in this order, of course. Middle finger, other hand, middle finger, outside edge of eye, collarbones. Then you do the sequence, right down the line. Then you do the hand, the fingers. Then you do here, close your eyes, open your eyes, down to the right, down to the left, roll your eyes in a circle, roll them the other way, hum out loud, count to 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, hum again. Then you breathe normally in and out through your nose. Now you're not doing, I said breathe normally. Well, that's how I normally breathe, and stop it. Change the way you normally breathe. So you're breathing normally in and out through your nose 3 times, expanding, putting your attention 2 inches below your navel. Okay? Then you do the sequence again. Here, 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 hand. And then here, and right at the top. Boom. Then you breathe 3 times in and out through your nose, putting your attention 2 inches below your navel. And then you say, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's the intensity of the negative emotion now? Now, 1 of 3 things will happen. Number 1, it'll go up. And by the way, if it goes up, sometimes the energy shifts. Well, it's no longer anger, now it's frustration. Okay, you're in good shape. If the energy changed, if at any point it goes up and the emotion changes, start at the beginning again. Because now you have a whole nother layer you're dealing with. Because you got rid of everything on that first one. It allowed the next emotion to come up. So as you're doing this, you say, I want to get over this. It's anger on a scale of 1 to 10, a 10. You do it. It's a 7, and it's anger. So you say, after I want to get over this, I can get over this. You do the sequence. Then you say, well, it's a 10 again. Is it anger? No, it's actually sadness. Start again. I want to get over this. Because now you got rid of the anger's actually gone. Now it allowed the next level of energy to come up. So then you start at the beginning. Okay. You say, I am getting over this. You do the sequence. And now 1 of 3 things are going to happen. It's either going to go up, it's going to stay the same, it's going to go down. If you have any of those 3 things, you do the next step. If it's 0, you're done. What's the next step? The next step is this. You take 2 fingers and you're looking for a place above your heart, on your chest. You're pushing in, you're looking for a place that's kind of a sore spot, kind of a tender spot, more so than the other. I got it right there. And you just kind of push in and you rub it, okay? Now as you're rubbing it, you try to relax your face. And you try to actually smile a little bit, okay? Like you don't care that much, you're having a good time. As opposed to stress out like I really want this to go away. Because you have to get into a state of allowing. So you just kind of relax your face, gentle smile, and you repeat these words. So I'll give it to you in a little bit of a cadence so you can remember. Okay, repeat after me. I deeply and profoundly, love and accept myself. Even if I never get over this problem. I deeply and profoundly, love and accept myself. Even if I never get over this problem. I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. Even if I never get over this problem. Okay. So you have to do this in a little lighthearted manner. Now release. Okay. Now you go through the sequence. Tap here, 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 here. Here, 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 here. Tap here, close your eyes, open your eyes, look down to the right, down to the left, roll your eyes in a circle, go the other way. Hum a little bit out loud, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hum again. Breathe normally and out through your nose 3 times. Okay. Then you go to the sequence 1 more time. Okay, here. Then you say, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's the intensity of the negative emotion now? 1 of 3 things are going to happen. It's going to go up, it's going to stay the same, it's going to go down, or it's going to be at 0. If it goes up and it changes the emotion, then you start all over again with, I want to get over this, with that new emotional sequence, okay? If it goes up and it's the same emotion, if it stays the same and it's the same emotion, or if it goes down in the same emotion but it's not at 0, you're going to do the next and final step. If it's at 0, you're done. Okay. What's the next and final step? The next and final step is simply, right now we've already released any type of attachment to the outcome, which is what that energy is that we're adding into our field. I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself, even if I never get over this problem. This frequency, if this is in your field 24/7, your whole life in every way will get better than ever before. Because you released any outcome that is going to determine whether you feel good about yourself. If you are at a state of knowing, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself, regardless of what happens in my life, your whole life will automatically get better because you released any outcome. You released any need for a specific outcome, which then will determine how you feel. The key to no suffering, as the Buddha said, is having no desire, which means not needing a particular outcome to feel in a certain way. This is controlling the mind. When you can control the mind, your whole world changes. Okay, so here's the final step. Final step is a little tricky, so I'll try to give it to you. So the first thing is we take our hands like this, and so notice they're not touching my head, okay? Now, you don't push hard, okay? It's just a gentle. So what we're doing is, as I push, I'm inhaling through my nose. So watch. Now exhale. Okay? Exhale. One more time. Okay, now lower your hands. Okay. Now we do the sequence. Here, 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 here. Little finger, next finger, next finger, next finger, thumb, here. Close your eyes, open eyes, down right, down left. Roll your eyes in a circle, roll them the other way. Hum out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hum again. And now just breathe it out through your nose 3 times. Put your attention below your navel. Okay, now sequence again. Here, 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 here. Boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom. And now here, and then boom. Okay? And now we say, on a scale, breathe 3 times and out through your nose. Putting our attention 2 inches below our navel. And now say, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's the intensity of the negative emotion now? Okay, it either goes up. If it goes up and it's a different emotion, you can start again at the top. Or you can write it down and start again later, but the key is it's active now. It's activated. So if you want to take advantage of that, do. But sometimes, this takes, we're already at 15 minutes or so. So you may be a little tired. It's up to you. Generally, you're not going to go this long. And even if you do, it's okay because you are releasing. If I had the little meter there, you would see you're releasing massive amounts of charge. Massive amounts of energy is transmuting and expanding into your field. So if it goes above, you say on a scale of 1 to 10, where's the intensity of my negative emotion now? If it goes above and it's a different emotion, you can start again at the beginning where you say I want to get over this and go through. If it's the same, or if it's lower and it's the same emotion, then you're going to do the final step. That was part A of the final step. You do the final step, the final step. If it's 0, you're done. Okay, so here's the final step. So now we do the exact opposite. Instead of starting here, we're actually going to start here. And now as we inhale, we release. So the exhale is pushing. So inhale, release. And now push in gently and exhale. Inhale. And then exhale and push in. And by the way, the pushing is not hard. It's so gentle. It's just like a little touch. Okay? Now we go through the sequence. Here, 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 here. Thumb, gamut, close eyes, open eyes. Look down right, down left, roll your eyes in a circle, roll them the other way. Hum a little bit out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hum again. Now breathe normally and out through your nose. Expand your stomach below your navel. Do it 3 times. Okay, now sequence here, 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 and then this, here. Then you say, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's the intensity of the negative emotion? And it doesn't really matter because you're done. With the exception of if it goes higher and it's another emotion, then you have a choice of starting all over again from the sequence. It doesn't happen that often. Most of the time, I would say, of everybody that I've worked with, and Roger and I have worked with together around the world when we traveled, 95, 97% are handled usually in the first couple sequences. So it clears it right out very, very quickly. This will work even faster and better, or not even be needed, or be needed less, the more you are aware of who you are, that you're love and light. And there's a second part of that. Are you aware of who everyone else is? Yes, your first awareness is who you are. You are love and light. Remember I said that love and light goes out 5 feet, 5 meters, 10 feet, 10 meters, 20 meters, 20 feet, in all directions. And at the edges, it's the same intensity as in the beginning, in the middle. And it's an ocean. I said it's limitless. It's eternal. It actually doesn't stop. It just goes out in infinite. It's infinite amounts of love and light. It's infinite energy, and it goes out infinitely in all directions. Well, if that's true, there's some people here who are pretty close to me. And if you're the same as me, I mean, your energy is going out infinite. My energy and love and light's going out infinite. What happens when they bump into each other? The full awareness and consciousness of enlightenment is to know that there's only one love and light, and that we're all that same. In India, you go in prayer position, and sometimes you heard the word namaste. Namaste is loosely translated, the divine love and light that's in me bows to that same divine love and light that's within you. We're one. And that's all it is. It's just a respectful blessing of love to one another, saying we're all one. And it's a beautiful prayer. In Chinese, Amitofu is similar in nature to that. And there's different ways of saying this in different cultures. But if you raise your awareness of who you are and who everyone else is, this itself transmutes negative emotions. Why? Because if I'm aware of who I am and I'm aware of who you are, and you cut me off, how can I feel negative toward myself when we're both love and light and we're just one anyway? I generally will laugh. And if people have been driving in my car or in my house, when something happens, they see amusement. They see things happen that normally a person would get triggered. I did something silly. I was changing a water filter. I don't know anything about this, and I don't know what an O-ring is, but whatever that is, I didn't have it. And then when I put this housing back in, there was some leaking. And there was some little valve here, I guess they call it a bypass or whatever. When I put the bypass on, it stops the water, the leaking stops, so I took the housing off. I'm trying to think of, I don't know what's missing, what's right or wrong, so I put it back in. There's no leak. I turn the bypass on, it starts to leak. And I go, well, it's not a bad leak. I don't need to put it back. I don't need to put the bypass. I'll call a plumber tomorrow. Well, this caused a little bit of a problem. Someone says, Kevin, you don't have problems. You have situations, opportunities, and things. And I go, well, yeah, I know, but this was a little bit of a problem on this particular day. And I came down and my foot went squish into the rug. And I'm like, oh no. And I called David down and I said, hold on, we got a little situation here. I did actually say situation. I said, and I'm laughing. I go, look what I did. And I wasn't upset. I was laughing at, just the whole scenario. And I said, look, obviously everything happens for a reason. If it's obviously not triggering me, maybe it's going to trigger David. Maybe it's going to trigger somebody else in the house. But everything happens for a reason. It was a small little area. It wasn't a big thing. But I had to call the people in. They had to rip up the carpet. They had to pull the carpet pad out. They had to bring in these big blowers for 7 days. They had to pull out the baseboards to make sure it didn't go up the drywall. I mean, it could have been it wasn't a big flood. It was just, squishy. It wasn't like there was an inch of water or anything. But it was a little bit of an annoyance. We didn't have to move any of the furniture, just moved it out of the way. I mean, it was a little annoyance more than anything. But I call up the plumber. The plumber comes, and Kevin Tan comes out of the bathroom, by the way, before the plumber gets there. He goes, he's got this little round ring. And he goes, do you know what this is? And I go, I think that's what was missing from that little housing that's caused the leak. I go, where'd you find it? He goes, I found it in the bathroom. I go, oh, when I was cleaning out the housing, it must have fell out and I didn't notice it. So the plumber comes and the plumber looks at it and he goes, yeah, that's it. He goes, I'll fix it. He just put the O-ring on, unscrews this, puts the O-ring on, screws it back in. He goes, it's fixed. I go, how much you owe you? He goes, nothing. It didn't, cost anything. He goes, but since I'm here, why don't I just check out, your plumbing, make sure everything's good. There's no charge for that. I go, sure. I go, this is where you basically get a chance to sell me some stuff. Yeah, go ahead. I said, so you can tell me why everything's wrong and what I need to buy. So he goes over, looks at the sump pump. He goes, come here. The water in the sump pump is right to the top. The sump pump ain't working. And I go, what's that? He goes, about this much more water in this whole basement is flooded. I go, well, why is it like that? He goes, the sump pump ain't working, it's broken. I go, it's funny, the owner of this place told me, keep an eye on the sump pump. And I really wasn't paying attention when he said that, because I don't know what a sump pump really is. And I hadn't talked to Ted or Tom recently, so I don't really know anything about this stuff. So I said, well, what do you mean? It's not plugged in or something? He goes, no, it's burnt out. He goes, if we had one more rain, this whole basement, this huge basement would be under this much water. I go, what can you do? He goes, well, I think I may have one in the truck. I go, how do I know it really is blown out? You're just trying to sell me something. He goes, look where the water is. He goes, it's right at the top. He takes it out, he showed me, it's plugged in, he's not turning it on. He goes, you can smell it, it's so good. So he puts the new one in, the water goes down. Fine. That night, virtually 4 hours later, it didn't rain, it downpoured. I mean, it downpoured all night long. We couldn't even sleep. All night long, it was pouring rain. If I didn't make that little error, if I didn't create that little issue, the whole basement would have been under this much water. We would have had to pull all the furniture out. It would have been a colossal disaster. And the reason why I tell you this story is remember always that the universe doesn't do things to us. It does things for us. And it's providing us opportunities to have energies that are in our field activated, triggered. The universe provides opportunities for our buttons to be pushed. And when your buttons are pushed, take it as an opportunity to allow that energy. Acknowledge it, don't deny it, welcome it, don't resist it. And put yourself in a state of allowing, a state where it says, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself, even if I never get over this problem, and even if I always feel this way, it's okay. In that beautiful state of freedom and allowing and liberation, without restrictions, without wanting, without needing anything to change, without resisting what is, energies will transmute, and you're well on your way to feeling better and better every day. You might experience pain, but you don't have to experience suffering. Make sense?
Yeah.
Much love to all of you. We're going to take a 1 hour on the button break. When we come back, you're going to be hearing the story of Mortar Farm. The reason we're here at Mortar Farm is you'll actually be hearing something you've never heard before, Dr. Ted Mortar's story. And it really is a rags to riches story. It's going to inspire, it's going to motivate you, you're going to laugh, you may even share a tear. But remembering, listening to success stories, listening to people who have been where you are and have what you want is a critical element that all successful people do to recharge their own batteries, to re-inspire them, to motivate them, to get them moving, to increase their level of belief and knowingness that they can do it too. And that's why these are so important and so critical. So I encourage you to come back in 1 hour and listen to a story that will help take you to the next level. Much love, everybody. We'll see you in an hour.